Uh, can you guys see the screen?
We can.
Yes, we
Yeah,
can. And do you mind record the session? Okay,
I
yeah, it's
think
already
just someone
started.
is recording. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh, hi everyone. Uh, Good afternoon. So this is my IBIS application assessment and my implementation timeline that I have put together for today's presentation. And so first, I'll discuss about the existing IBIS system, and after that, in the IBIS system, we have the admin application and view application. So I'll talk about the admin application functionality, and after that, I will talk about about the admin front end and back end if we implement in that way, and the implementation timeline for the admin application. And after the admin, I'll look into the view application functionality and its front end and back end, and on the timeline for the view application. So coming to the existing IBIS system, uh, we have like three applications in the system actually. The first one is IBIS admin and the IBIS view and the IBIS query application. Uh, these are the three parts of the main IBIS system. If you look into the IBIS admin, the application main helps different health program officers to maintain and edit indicator data. This data is to like a pub. Once they edit the data and save the data into the database, they can publish the database to the view application. If you can see here, the user, the health officers can log in into the admin application, and they can edit the data and they can save it to the database, and using the publish option on the front end, they can publish the data. When they hit the publish option, the data will be uh, converted into an XML and will be stored on the server. And whenever the user wants to look at the data, the data related to that particular indicator, the view application won't directly access the data from the database. It will look for the XML file, and the XML file will be merged with the specific XSLT file. XSLT file is something like a style sheet, and and an HTML will be produced, and it's like a view actually, and it will the browser will render the HTML, and we will be seeing it on the front end. On the browser, I mean. So, and coming to the view application, as I told you just now, like that's where the people uh, view the data and the indicator and all those things. And the view application also has other functionalities like custom query option, and it also has static pages about to describe about the system and various health topics. The information about various indicators. It's just those are kind of like static pages. And we have the IBIS query application. If you see here, IBIS query application. This application is mainly used for the custom query option on the view application. So that's one functionality of the our NMIB system and like the EPHT system, is that the customers can query the data set on the SAS data set. So this application is used for the querying part, and we will be discussing these things in detail. Like later on, I will explain in detail. And next we will discuss about the admin application, how all the functionalities on the admin application. As I told you, the primary functionality of the admin application is to persist data about the indicators and related information. The related information is something like what are the other health topics the indicator is related to, and all the kind of information can be persisted to database. Uh, and this application allows users to, as I told you, like the users to edit and save These are the various options. Actually, they can edit the related topics, and they can edit the indicator records, and who are the view, what's the view. I mean, like, there are multiple views for each indicator actually, and they can edit that. And who will be the editors and owners? The admin can edit the editors and owners. And the admin application as also has like uh, a merge data functionality. As I told you, like, the admin application is mainly used to edit the data and save it to the database, right? So if you want to enter a large amount of data, we will be using the merge data functionality. And the admin application is only accessible for the authorized user actually. So only the authorized users can access the admin application, and also there are various levels of permissions like editor, owner, admin, and EPHT members. And also we can add new users to the application, and you can assign the user authority and user roles. Everything can be done in the admin application. And another one important functionality of the admin application is the review functionality. Like, whenever like we try to save before saving the data to the database, if the health professional wants to look how the website wants to look at the how the website will be shown on the data, this preview functionality helps in doing that. It's like a they can like visualize how they appear on the view application instead of before saving it. And the final is like this application employs session-based authentication and requires authorization for every request actually, involving like data persistence or like or viewing. Um, and those are the main functionalities of the admin application. And if we go to the admin front end, so I have developed the admin front end and admin backend, both of these slides to discuss. Like, we are trying to rebuild the application, right? So as the admin application at present is a standard Java MVC application. It has Java servlets and controllers for the controlling the URL mapping and all those things. And JSPs are there for the view, and we have the Java beans for the model, and like there's a SQL database for the interaction. It's a single application. So our plan, when we discussed earlier, like with Justin and everyone, we will be they told me like we'll be going with the front end and like the back end approach, like a front end React application and a back end .NET application. So I divided the tasks which are related for the front end developer and like the back end developer, the basic things. Like I'll just go over it. And the basic front end task we should be doing will be like the creating user interface, as we are rebuilding the thing. And we will be creating the navigation, and like there is a login aspect. So we need to create the user login forms, and also data display forms, and basic JavaScript files for interaction. And as we will be doing the login page, we will be doing the session management for authentication, right? And access control. So we should be doing that on the front end. And as like we will be going the front end and back end approach, we will be doing the RESTful APIs. So we should be integrating the RESTful APIs on the front end. We will mostly use the post and the get request. Get is to retrieve the data and show on the screen for them to edit. And the post option is to like save the data. So if we go by this approach, we'll be getting rid of the publish option actually, because like we won't be generating the XMLs again, because like because we will be using the JSON. I mean, like the JSON approach, a RESTful approach. So we won't be generating the XMLs. So we will be getting rid of the publish option. Oh, when we use the admin, we'll just save the data to the database, and the view application can access the database, or like the view application also can access the replica of the database, right? So we can create a replica for that, and like, so if we don't want to both the applications to the same database, we can have like replica database. This is the main thing about the admin front end, and like the admin backend. Most frequently, like we'll get the get, as I told earlier, like we will be doing the get request and the post request. So we need to develop the APIs, and also the login functionality. The most of the work should be done on the backend. All the login functionality, role-based access, and all these things, and also the existing application has like the static content caching and all those things. Those things should be done also on the back end, because like it needs to be done on the header, and the basic web vulnerabilities like the cross-origin resource sharing, cross-site scripting, and all these things need to be done on the back end. That's the basic things we will be doing in the front end and back end. And this is my timeline. Like, this is the timeline about the front end development of the admin application. So when I went over the admin application, I got to find out that there are like around 56 views, and like I followed the agile methodology to assign these dates, and I got this because like I have thought like something like one day as like a one story point, something like that. And as I told you, like we have got like 56 pages, I mean like 56 views. uh, I have considered like around 2 days for each page. So on average, we will be doing like we'll need a 120 day for creating the components for the pages, integrating the APIs relating to the pages and everything. Uh, because like initially we will take a bit of time for creating the reusable components and all those things. But like once we streamline once we're done with the process, later I feel like it won't take that much time. So I would say 120 days would be good for creating those 56 views. And there are like two complex pages where like I have told you, like we have the merge data functionality, right? We need to integrate the functionality to those pages, and like I thought like it would take at least like 3 or 4 days, so I have assigned like 8 days for that. And login functionality on the front end side, I thought like 2 weeks would be good, 2 to 3 weeks. And I have told you like we'll be doing the preview functionality. That's another, according to me, that would be one more week, and the data merge data functionality would be one more week. So in total, like I'm getting around like 8 to 9 months for this actually. And when we do the front end, we'll be doing the back end in the same timeline. Oh, I have missed one point actually. All these days, I'm assuming we'll be having only one front end developer and one back end developer. And the basic things, I assume that like the basic API design, or like the the database, or the look of the front end, everything was like will be what would I say, will be uh, completed. Everything is like completed. So after that, this is the time I would say for the development of the admin front end. And coming to the back end development, so we have around like we need around like 120 days to create the API endpoints to persist the data. There are around like 60 URLs in the existing application to persist the data, different kind of data actually. And To retrieve the data, we have another 60 APIs. So I thought like it would take around 70 days for the getting the data. For even for both these things, I'm assuming like to get 120 days, I'm assuming like we'll be developing one API per 2 days. I mean like the writing the controller classes and everything. And to retrieve the data, I have given shorter time because like it's just presentation of the data on the just getting the data. Like we won't be need to. It's not like persisting the data to the database. So I gave like around like 70 days, and the implementation of the user management, like the authentication and all this functionality in the backend, I have given like 1 to 2 weeks. And role-based access and authorization implementation and basic common web vulnerabilities have given another 2 weeks. And for testing of the application, both the front end and back end, I've given 3 4 weeks. Like we'll be doing the unit testing, integration testing, the user acceptance testing, and everything. And next, we'll be discussing about the view application and the view the functionality. First, we'll discuss about the view functionality. The main functionality of the view application is to provide information about various health topics cancer and what we call the alcohol addiction and and cancer deaths and all these kind of like health topics. And we have like a community reports and indicator reports and resource pages. And we have the main functionality is the querying the dataset functionality, where we will be using the IBIS queue application. That's the backend application. So the user can query the application from the front end. So the health topic pages, home pages, and resource pages are almost static pages. So and community and indicator report pages are like the main dynamic pages and query dataset pages too. Uh, but like community and indicator report pages, we'll get the data from the database where we use the admin application to save the data. We'll be getting the data from the same database, like the same data. And the secure querying functionality of the view application is, as I told you, like we have the querying functionality, right? In that we have the secure query functionality and like the public querying functionality. Secure query functionality is only can be done by the uh, authorized users, and like the public functionality can be used by anyone. For querying the data sets, when we are doing the querying, we have options of running default query. Like there will be uh, option to run a default query. Like all the options are selected, and we can run the default query, or like we can customize our own query by selecting different options using the drop downs. And authenticated users can save the queries for later use. So uh, uh, so uh, that means like when the authenticated users when they customize a query, they don't want to lose the custom options they have selected. They can save the query for later use. And there is another option called apply query definition functionality. So this option is something like when we customize our query, we'll be selecting the different options, right? Uh, those options can be saved for some amount of time for applying for other queries too. It's like these options won't be saved to the database, but they will be saved on the, I mean, like the as a cache or something like on the browser side until the user session is active. And my thing for the view front end is we need to create the user interfaces, navigation, same as the mm, previous application, user login, data display, and everything. But like and we won't be needing to get we won't be needing anything much on the any backend processing for the static HTML pages. It can be served from the front end. And for the and for the dynamic pages, we need to integrate APIs in the front end to get to get data from the for the indicator reports and community reports, and also to communicate with the IBIS query application. We need to do do the APIs. And coming to the view backend, backend will be used to, as I told you, like the query application. For the query functionality, we have the IBIS queue option. So the backend we will be developing will be used to send the request to the existing IBIS queue, or like it's a replacement, or its replacement. Like at present we are using IBIS queue, but like after the rebuild, our team is trying for a replacement, and our backend application will be communicating to the IBIS queue or its replacement to and to get the data from the database relating to community reports. Also, our backend application will be working on that to communicate with the backend database to get data for the community reports and indicator reports. That's one thing. And if for example, if we use the existing IBIS queue application, we will be receiving the data in the XML format, as the existing application works on the XML. But like we want to use the JSON format, right? So I think this data need to be converted into JSON format before sending it to the front end. So we need to work on that. And also we need to do the static content caching, and that needs to also implemented on the back end. And the basic common web vulnerabilities like cross-site scripting, CSRF, and cross-origin resource sharing happen. This happens to be developed on the back end too. These are the major tasks that's we need to develop. And so based on the IBIS view application, we have NM IBIS and NMEPHT. These are like the derivatives of the IBIS view application. So those are so IBIS view is like IBIS system is a open source software that Paul and Lois developed, and NMIBIS view application is like is a is like a derivative of the we have took the IBIS view, and like we have made our own changes, and we will be getting the NMIBIS, and even the NMIPHT view will be will be done the same way. So I so my timeline for NMIBIS view application front end is it to take around like 5 to 6 months. So as I told you earlier, like we will be having the home page. We have the home page, health topic pages, and resource pages. We will be developing reusable components like navigation, like and also the theme of the application and everything. Those components will be taking around like I would say 4 weeks, and for all the pages. And the front end and samely the front end components for the community report pages and indicator report pages. These pages will be having maps and charts. Once we will be getting the data from the backend, and the data needs to be presented sometimes as maps and charts. Like charts, I mean by bar diagrams and these kind of things. So we need to be developing the JavaScript components for the React components for the for the drop downs, maps, and charts. So I would be, according to me, it would take around like 4 to 5 weeks for the development of the components and everything. And uh, and integrating the backend APIs with the front-end components for the uh, for getting the dynamic data relating to community reports and indicator reports, I would say it would take 4 weeks. And the main important functionality as we are talking is like the querying database functionality, and like the front-end component, uh, the front-end components for the querying interface, including options to run the default queries, customize the queries, and to develop the uh, other important components relating to the querying interface. I would say it would take like 5 to 6 weeks, and the integration of the APIs relating to the querying dataset functionality would be like another 3 to 4 weeks. And we have a secured query option. So the implementation and for the I mean like the user login and authentication and authorization, according to me, it would take around like 1 to 2 weeks. And we have like the apply query definition functionality, which I've explained earlier. Its implementation, I would say it would like 2 to 3 days. We would be storing the I mean like the draw selections on the front end. I mean like on the browser. So it won't take that much time. It would take around like 2 to 3 days. And coming to the NMEPST front end, um, as I told you earlier, this is like a derivative of the IBIS view application. So the front end, it would take around like 5 to 6 months. And then EPST, the same. Most of the components are similar for both the applications actually. So maybe if we go by like a shared component library approach in the React or something in the development of the front end for both the applications, we can reduce some time instead of developing the components again, because like the most of the pages will be similar, because like these application will be also having health topic pages, but the information change, but like the basic idea of the websites are similar. And this application is also having the community report pages, indicator report pages, and everything. Just few most of the components are similar, so maybe we can go by a shared component library approach. I have been looking into it, but like uh, once we go for the development, we should be looking into that and like other approaches that are available. I have never developed because like developing two front end applications which are having the same. Most of the components are similar. I have never uh, never done that. So I'll be looking into that after this actually. And we need to integrate the backend APIs too in this application. So it will be taking another 3 to 4 weeks. And again, the front end query interface option, 4 to 5 weeks, and integrating the backend APIs with the front end components for the querying dataset functionality. It's another 3 to 4 weeks. The user authentication and again the apply query definition. Most of the things are similar. So uh, so that's why we are getting the same time. But like if we use a different approach, like sharing the resources, I mean like the components, we'll be saving the time. Maybe like we will be saving another 2 to 3 months. We need to look into that. And coming to the view application backend, so I have, I would say we can go by a unified backend actually. So like both the applications, we will be having two front end applications, but like both the applications can call the same backend application, because like the application will be interacting with the same database, most of the utility classes and the model layer and everything will be similar, because like uh, both the application has like a similar functionality and everything. It has like the same community report pages, both has the indicator report pages and everything. So I would say we can go with the unified backend for both the applications, and we will be having two front ends, and like both the front ends will be calling the same backend. So I would say this would take around like 6 to 7 months. We can do in parallel to the front end development. As I told earlier, like the user authentication and authorization, uh, this is the part that we need to implement on mainly on the back end, and like we'll be taking 3 to 4 weeks for that, and developing the APIs uh, for the community reports and indicator reports. I would say it's a 13 to 15 weeks job. There are around like I don't remember the exact number actually. It's around like 15 or 20, 15 to 25 APIs. Um, so it would take like around 13 to 15 weeks. I've given like 2 to 3 days per an API, and develop functionality to save queries for authenticated users. This option will take around like 1 to 2 weeks actually. This is the save query functionality that we have discussed earlier, and we need to develop APIs to pass the parameters to the backend query application. I mean the IBIS queue application, or its replacement. To do that, we would be taking there are around, I remember, 10 APIs. I don't remember exactly, but like 10 APIs. So it would take around like 5 to 6 weeks. And as we get the JSI in the data in the XML format from the IBIS queue, we need to convert the JSON format, and we'll be sending the data back to the front end. I would say we need to, for this conversion of the XML data to JSON format, we would need at least 1 to 2 weeks. That's my timeline, and like this is the final integration. I mean, like the testing, unit testing, integration testing, end to end, and user acceptance testing and everything. I would say like 3 to 4 weeks would be good. Thank you.
Great. Before I give any feedback or anything, does anybody have questions, comments, or concerns about the presentation?
Nice job, Srinath.
Thank you, Anne.
Yeah, Justin,
Yeah.
this is Rohit. I have few questions.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, Srinath, thanks for putting the slides together and going through every detail. I want to touch few areas which are kind of widely just to understand more on the approach that we are going to take. So my first question is, we have been talking about developing a lot of APIs, right? So
Mhm.
in terms of APIs, are we kind of trying to consolidate the APIs that you have kind of already mapped out, or have an understanding of, like for example, if there are like 10 fields in one view and there are 15 fields in another view, uh, are there any possibilities that we could kind of expand the view or expand our APIs to accommodate those two into one? That way we don't have to rewrite most of the APIs. Is that some observation that you have made during your evaluation?
Rohit, I didn't go in that direction for now, but like I'll be looking into that. And the second thing is like we will be Justin is doing the requirements gathering. So I thought like once we get the new requirements, like we can look into that. So that's my idea. So yeah. I think there are some cases. I think we can do that. And also, I'm not sure like we will be doing the same database schema. I think, for example, like if the new requirements comes, we need to change we needs to change some of the things, right? Sometimes. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
fair. Uh, the only thing I just want to kind of let you know is to kind of when we are going through the requirements as they are being gathered, we will have to evaluate the potential of an API being used in multiple scenarios instead of redoing most of the work. So that's one area where we can efficiently handle those tasks.
Okay.
And my other question was, we have been talking mostly about the data translation from XML to XLST and all those different formats. And I think we were going to come up with JSON format, right?
Yeah.
So, from your kind of evaluation here as well, are those steps essential for achieving the end goal of displaying the data? Because, like, I'm just going through a scenario here. We have our vaccine registration application where we kind of have different metrics that we look at and present different reports to the users based on the requirements. So we don't do any like transport, like pretty much translation of data into different formats. We just pretty much use our APIs and query the data and fetch and present it mostly in our scenarios. So are we seeing a necessity for those translations to be in place, or can that be directly handled with an API call?
So as we'll be doing the so the only conversion is needed for the pairing data set, because like the IBIS queue application sends only the XML data. Because like for example, if if we go for any replacement, um, I don't know how that will be, but like if we go with the existing IBIS queue application, it will be sending the XML data, uh, and to send it to the front end. And if we send the same XML data to the front end, we'll be developing more front end components, because like uh, if we convert the XML data into JSON in the backend itself and sends the JSON data, we won't be needing to do the work in the front end, like the uh, developing components to use the XML data. Like if we go with the conversion itself in the backend, uh, we'll save time on the front end. Or like if we send the data directly to the front end without conversion, we'll be doing the work on the front end.
Agreed.
So
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
like, I think the next question there would be does IBIS queue handle like JSON format for querying, right? So if that's something possible for us, then it would be much more easier for us to handle. I mean, like, we can just discuss further with.
Yeah, maybe I didn't look into the IBIS queue application, because I'm looking into the Spring and like the Java application relating to the admin and the view. IBIS queue is something like uh, CGA application. Paul and Lois knows more about the application.
So it's
And
I can give you a quick rundown. I sent you a email briefly because I may need to leave, but so the CGI app it's a C program. It was written years and years ago. There's not a lot of documentation. Rod has it, and I may have a slightly different version. Rod and I are talking about that. But first of all, I wasn't sure if I got this from your presentation. The only time IBIS-Q is needed is when you're doing the queries of the SAS data sets. Any data from the database that you've just, you showed in the presentation, that has nothing to do with IBIS-Q. What IBIS-Q was, so originally IBIS-Q was designed kind of like a web front end for folks, for program managers that were not good at writing SAS programs and getting the data out of SAS. So we kind of, excuse the language, but bastardized that application, 15, 20 years ago to and change the function of it so that it would put out XML so it could be displayed in the front end. You could probably look at that code and make it, push out JSON. I think it's kind of the weak link in this whole, and it's the oldest piece of software, and it's the weak link in this whole application. I might suggest, if you're still needing to use SAS, which I believe at least you are going to for a little while, I might suggest trying to talk with SAS or finding out what APIs they have. The biggest issue that I've seen with SAS and SAS Via is the cost involved. They just seem to be, I mean, especially if you consider it in compared with R, it's just outrageous. But so either that, see what SAS APIs are public that you can use, and or do an analysis of the C code, and we could help a little. I mean, but it's kind of, well, if you remember C 20 years ago, you'll know it. Really small, really short variable names that don't really have any mnemonics to help you, and and compact code. Now, I'm saying this from like maybe a part-time or even like very, very small time developer, not the ranks of you guys, but that program combines back-end skeleton SAS programs and files that are like that map SAS variables with what IBIS calls dimensions. It's basically to get the variable and value label, mostly value labels, and it's more detailed than that. I don't want to get into it, but I just wanted to say I really liked what you've presented, but I would kind of dig into seeing what you could do to actually maybe eventually get rid of that program.
Yeah.
All there, another follow-up question. Is it possible to find how many queries get handled through IBS for the IBIS queue? Like, are there any metrics that you can look at and provide some more insights so that we exactly know how many users are actively using IBIS queue? That way, if it's essential, then I think we can kind of circle back and look at how much effort it's going to be taking to kind of redo that particular component. And the other question also there is, all these SAS data sets, like, are they being provided to us from a system that is within DOH or outside of DOH. Uh, and the reason I ask that is if it's already within DOH and we do have access to the SQL data or whatever backend they are being stored in, we can actually look into reevaluating how we can directly pull the data from that particular data source itself instead of relying on IBIS queue.
Yes, and this is more of a question for Lois, but I think I can answer it. I would say, with the exception of the survey data sets and population data sets, which are obviously needed for rates, the data is usually, let's say 80% or plus, that comes from data that is already in the Department of Health. The way IBIS, the small contingent of IBIS people that would actually put the data SAS data sets up and make changes to the data, is they're provided by data stewards, and the SMEs of say hospital data. I guess hospital data is the big one that's not, but I know there's stuff like Ken Jeter is working on hospital data and putting it into data sets. There are 3 or 4 major surveys. They're national surveys. New Mexico has the option of adding questions and things like that. These are annual. They get that data from the CDC. It's a SAS data set, but it might be more efficient to take that SAS data set, and less costly too, SAS data set, and define what you need from it for the queries that you're going to support and stick it in the database. And I think we should maybe have a little more discussions on this. I think Lois would be better at answering this, just because she's dealt with that a lot more than I have. But
Yeah,
you
sure.
know
That's
already
good
that
information.
what are you provide an auto feed or write out a SAS data set. I think it's for infectious disease, probably from NEDS or something, Rohit.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that might not be a bad approach. The birth and death data come from
Vital tickets.
yeah, mostly from Ken Jeter right now, I think. The population, population is an issue that maybe the department needs to address more. That they usually come from the University of New Mexico. They prepare them from somewhere, and there's an annual contract with that. And then once that happens, Lois needs to still massage that. I know right now there's issues with so there the way census works now is you can be kind of a member of 2 races, or choose 2 races as far as your ethnicity goes. The CDC used to provide what's called bridge race, which basically, performs some manipulation and makes and assigns, say, some, if they're 2, I guess the rule now is if you're in 2 races, you if you select 2 races, you go to the least populous one. That all has to be done in SAS before the population data is ready. So that could be moved, and it might, like I said, it might be more efficient overall to think about doing that on the way back end and moving it into a database. And just just use that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly where I'm coming from, Paul. There
Yeah.
is that if we know the true source of the data, I think we just handle it right away at the entry point and put it in a like standalone database where we can actually fetch from. That way, I think we can avoid the conversions and the programming additionally that's being happening down the pipeline, and pretty much reduce the potential points of failure there as well. That's kind of the approach we can take if we exactly know the data sources and the point of contact for those data sources. That way, we can definitely streamline how we can handle that particular uh, uh, data source and data and so on.
Yeah, oops. Yeah, I tend to agree. And I think and I'm saying we, the Royal we, Lois, can at least provide you with the majority of the people that where the data comes from. And like I said, I mean, each of those subject matter experts, either someone like Lois or someone like someone that was part of the survey group, we would tell them what the data set needs to look like, and they would provide the data set. So I think that could all be defined, and like you said, Rohit, pull it from a database. At least I think it would be good to explore right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think we have some more like work to do there, just to kind of get our head wrapped around. And
Yeah.
once I think we kind of know the exact data sources and stuff like that, we will be able to kind of come up with a plan to handle them. Thanks for the info, Paul.
Thank all of you, and especially Srinath.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Srinath, my last question is: I think you mentioned that you were looking to reuse the code base for two different modules. All right. Just like out of our kind of implementations here, we have been doing those exercises quite a lot here. So if you need any further assistance on how that could be done and stuff like that, we can kind of help you on kind of coming up with an architecture for that, and kind of review any applications that you would like to go through that are in production already.
Okay. I'll let you know like whenever I needed that. Right. Thank you for the information. So are you talking about like the front end kind of application or like the
Yeah. Front
yeah,
end or
okay. React
reusing
application.
existing database or whatever. We
Mhm.
kind of are handling it for our vaccine registration application and stuff like that. So I can go through, or any of the team who has worked on it, they can go through it. So if you can get hold of one of us from the team, we can definitely help you on that.
Yeah, thank you, Rohit. I'll let you know. I'll contact you and like we can do a session.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohit.
Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you, Shri, for the presentation. Very informative. And thank you, everybody else who's been participating in this conversation. Super productive. I greatly appreciate everybody's time. If we don't have any more questions, we have gone over by about 15 minutes here. Shri, at the conclusion of this meeting, if you could just send an email out with all the recipients and attach your slides, I'll make sure those get put up into our SharePoint.
Sure.
And I think we're good. So
Yeah,
thank you
thanks
very
on-
much, everybody.
Thanks once again, Shri.
Thank
I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Shri. It was very detailed. Thanks for the presentation.
Yep. And like
thank you.
Anna said, have a great weekend, guys. We'll catch you later.
Yeah, you too, everyone. Have a great week.
Hey, Justin,
Yeah, Paul.
could you stay on for a sec?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Catch the rest of you guys later.
Everybody.